This is the ECG Golf Club. And welcome to this week's Hackers Podcast. Every episode available on Spotify and YouTube.
Now watch this drive.
Hey there, sports fans. It's Zuuc and the Ashman. It's the ECG Hackers Podcast. I'm the Ashman. That's Zuuc. It's episode 19. It's Thursday night here in Australia. Great to see you, Zuuc. How are you, brother?
I'm travelling well, mate. But more importantly, how did you go today? The group chat's been alive with you and Tim talking up the two-ball Lambros that you had today. I'm all ears. Tell us about it. How did it go?
Mate, I had such a great day. If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, you may see my lips seem a bit red. They're a little bit chapped, a bit windy out there today on the Gold Coast. I had a fantastic day. Palm Meadows Golf Course on the Gold Coast. It was a two-ball Ambrose event. We shot 5 over. And with our handicap of 7.5, ended up being 3 under. So we did pretty good. I think we came about 20th. It was a bloody good day out there. Really enjoyed it. I was smashing the drives. I got plenty of fairways. Tim's approach shots were amazing. Tim did a DOD, driver off the deck, twice.
Ooh.
And one
full
of them
driver,
was sensational.
not a mini driver or anything like that.
No, it's full driver. I had the stealth out.
430cc. Oof.
Yeah, it was a full big
That's a
driver.
grown man move, that. Grown man
It was,
move.
and you would have heard me moaning and groaning in the background because it was a par 5. He smashed this beautiful drive off the deck. It was hanging over the left trees and it just shaped back because he's got a natural fade. A beautiful shot. And it was quite amazing because I naturally draw it and he fades it. So between two of us on a two-ball Ambrose, it was actually quite entertaining. Yeah, we had options.
Awesome.
And I also wanted to mention last week we talked about castle tees. That's my castle tee. If you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, this is my favorite tee.
That does look like a premium product compared to
they're about $5 each. Tour tee, they're called. Very nice. And it ends up being about 2.5 inches off the ground. So they were really cool. And I did rock this new Adidas. I'm sponsored by Adidas down here. Personal sponsorship. I use this new Adidas glove. It was fantastic. So, mate, had a great day. Thanks, man.
Glad to hear it went well.
Yeah,
Top
man.
20? Very nice.
Top 20. More importantly, it's time for the news.
Let's get this show rolling like a perfect putt and head over to Zuuc in the ECG newsroom. Over to you.
Over to you, brother.
Cheers, Ash, and cheers, Belvedere. We'll kick things off with the PGA. Scotty held on to win the Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village, otherwise known as Jack's Place. Scotty carded a 2 over, a 74 on Sunday, but that was enough to hold off a challenging Colin Morikawa, who came in within one stroke with 3 holes to play. With the win, Scotty became the first player to win 5 events in the season before the US Open since Tom Watson back in 1980. So again, just another string in his bow. In contrast, on the LIV Tour, there have been 7 winners across 8 events. So Ash, what have you preferred watching? A variety of winners on LIV or a period of dominance by Scotty on the PGA?
Oh, great question, isn't it? That's a sports fan's dilemma, isn't it?
It is.
Really is. Look, I guess on the PGA, I want to see that GOAT. I want to see the next GOAT. I want to see Scotty Scheffler. I mean, it's amazing stats. And you just mentioned Tom Watson. When you're talking about Scotty Scheffler, Tom Watson's, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus is in the same sentence. We're talking
puts
about
things in
some
perspective. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, look, I watch the PGA to see that. Scotty Scheffler. So, and I watch LIV because it is variety. So, I think that's what's great for me as a golf fan and a sports fan is I get that choice to stop sitting on the fence. I do like multitude of winners. There you go.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm probably when it comes to golf, given that it's something that I really struggle with. I really appreciate seeing someone at the height of their powers. So I've probably appreciated watching Scotty more than anything else so far this season. So all right,
And I guess
disagree on that
you're
one.
looking forward to the US Open tonight.
100%.
Is he in your team? I can't remember.
No, I got stymied. Hadfield.
Oh, that's right, by Jake McLeod. You did.
Moving on to LIV, Carlos Ortiz won his first LIV tournament, claiming victory at the Houston event. Naturally, media commitments afterwards, he lamented the fact that he won't be at Pinehurst to participate in the US Open. Ortiz was one of many LIV golfers who participated in recent US Open qualifiers, but was unsuccessful. However, of significant interest has been some of the comments made in media commitments by some of the representatives from the USGA. The chief championship officer, John Budenhammer, was quoted as such in the media.
The hammer.
We've watched what is happening in professional golf unfold, and we've seen a lot of good players go over to LIV, and so we're thinking a lot about it. We've talked a lot about it. I think it's reasonable to expect at some point, yes, we would create a pathway or some way that we would get those great players and give them an opportunity to be unified again and participate effectively in the US Open. So this got me thinking, and particularly, I guess, of late, America started to perhaps, engage and have a bit of a love affair with Bryson. And do you really credit this change of heart with respect to granting LIV player access by those responsible for the US Open, potentially to this, love affair with Bryson and the way that the American public has gravitated towards him in the last few months?
100%. I was having a great conversation with some golfers today about Bryson. I think his ability to grow the game is very important at the moment. He's matured himself. He's
totally.
A lot more palatable to the general public. He's extremely marketable. I mean, he's a handsome looking guy and he's smart and he's mature now. So I think the most important thing here is the ability to grow the sport. So I think it'd be silly to not involve these guys in the big championships. So I hope that answered your question. But what I'm trying to say is I think Bryson's matured so much. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, I think he's the most influential person in golf at the moment.
I'd go there. I'd say there's a strong argument for that. One of the funny things is because of all the downtime with LIV, let's be honest, there is some downtime. He's invested a lot of time and energy into his own YouTube channel. And really that's, must watch from my end. Some of the stuff he's done with Grant Horvath and the good guys, I think it was this week he published something where there was a challenge where he was playing with Hickory clubs against one of the good golfers. Like it's appealing, it's entertaining. His personality just shines through, and naturally that just translates to eyeballs on Saturday and Sunday when he's in contention.
And that's a great point. I noticed on the driving range here at the Glades, which is a Greg Norman course, on the weekend, a young fella, he would have only been early 20s, and he was wearing, the full gear on the driving range. He had all the clubs, but I noticed in his bag he had a Hickory persimmon wood. And I thought, this is potentially because of YouTube. This is potentially this inspiration and innovation. Because why? I mean, to hit a persimmon wood at the age of 20, I mean, you're game. But I just think it's that growth of the game which is so important at the moment. Him, Rick Shields, Paige Spiranak, they're doing wonders for the game of golf.
Totally. And just finally in the LPGA, Leanna Storm won the ShopRite LPGA Classic. And she certainly brought a Storm Sunday. This was a remarkable come from behind to win story. Coming into the final day, she was tied for 52nd. She then shot an 11 under par 60 to storm into the lead and claim the win. It was quite a remarkable round with 9 birdies, 1 eagle and no bogeys. So this was an exceptional performance. But Something that caught my eye and perhaps overshadowed that was the disqualification of Nasa Hatahaka. I'm sure I've botched that name. This was in the first round. In the first round, Nasa hit her approach shot to the 9th, which was her last hole of the day, saying she teed off on the 10th, into high fescue near the green and proceeded to search for the ball. It was found, and she worked with the rules official, who was present at the time, to obtain a drop because it was deemed to be an unplayable lie. She finished her round, signed a card, and signed for a 6 under 65. So that was the end of day one. Lo and behold, however, she was disqualified the following day after rules officials reviewed the tape, and it was deemed that she took longer than the 3 minutes to find her ball. The officials concluded that the ball should have been ruled lost, and she should have returned and played again from the spot of her second shot. The rules official deemed she had gained an advantage. So Ash,
that's disgraceful.
When have you ever started a clock when you've searched for a ball?
Maybe once recently in the last 12 months, we did look at the clock, but I just have the internal clock going, and if I feel it's too long, I'm just moving on. Yep. Even today, funny enough, we got hurried up by the course marshal at one stage. And I thought that was a bit much. But no, never. I sort of just know when it's time to move on and hit a provisional or whatever. What about you, mate? Are you a bit on the clock?
I've never started a clock. I'm one who just likes to play fast. So if I know I'm never going to find it, I'm just going to take a drop and move on. Me too. Obviously, we're playing, we're not playing for anything. These guys are these ladies are. Can we
touch on that though? Can we just talk about that for a second?
Sure.
That's a disgrace. If that girl or competitor didn't know at the time and there was a rules official with her,
the rules official was there. That's right.
Mate, if he or she isn't going to start the clock and let them know, I don't think it should matter. Until that guy says you're on the clock, I don't think it matters. Yeah. What do you think?
The fact that the rules official there, this is just so poor, and there's not just monetary ramifications as well. Being a Japanese golfer, she's trying to secure a spot in the Olympics team. Currently, she has one. But it's not a guarantee. With Olympics qualifications, it's the top 15 that are automatic.
Oh, no, this could be drastic then.
And then 2 and up to 2 after that. So at the moment, she is in the running, but her world ranking is 19. And then there's 2 other Japanese golfers who have a world ranking of 22 and 25. So it's a real tight bottleneck to get in there with Yuka Saso, who was, if you recall, the winner of the US Open the week before. So there was a lot on the line, and World Championship points went begging from this disqualification. So not only monetary ramifications, but Olympic qualification consequences as well. So I was really surprised. The fact that the rules official was there, she seemed to do all the right things and acted in good faith. So, unfortunately, I certainly feel for it. But it was just an interesting event. Thought we'd talk it out.
Yeah. And, can I have one more point along that time?
Go for it.
Adrian Maronk got a time penalty in LIV about 2 months ago when he got warning for slow play. He got warned again, and then they gave him, I think it was a 2-shot penalty. And I believe from memory, I think that ended up costing him $200,000 because of the spots.
It cost him money, but that was a stroke awarded during and was fine. The reason why this was meant to disqualification was because she signed an incorrect scorecard on the basis that the ball should have been deemed lost, and therefore her score of 65 was not correct. So
that's crap.
She got really, really, really unfairly done by. Anyway, that's all for the week in news, Ash.
Nice.
You're listening to the ECG Hackers Podcast.
With Zuuc and Ashman. Every episode available on Spotify and YouTube.
ECG. Where everybody can go.
Belvedere. Have you been busy in the booth this week? He's really produced something special there, Chris.
That is one hell of an overproduced sting, if I've ever heard it.
Thank you,
A
Belvedere.
lot of effects, a lot of echoes, a lot of anyway. No,
All right.
well done,
Okay.
Belvedere. Love it.
Nice. So we're going to have a look at the US Open, which is starting tonight in Australia in about 2 hours. In fact, if you're watching live with us, which you can't because it's pre-recorded, but it's starting tonight. Really looking forward to this. There's a lot of chit-chat on social media about the greens and the speed of the greens. But let's delve into a bit of a preview of the US Open, Chris, and I'll hand it over to you a bit, mate.
Sure. I might just follow your lead there, and obviously let's just start with a bit of a chat about the course itself.
Yeah, cool.
There's obviously it's unique in a couple of ways. Pinehurst number 2. You've touched on the greens. Obviously, there's not a lot of rough, but rather sand wastelands. We've got the wire grass, and those are some of the unique aspects. But let's just touch on the greens first. Obviously, by and large, most of the greens are domed, crowned, tabletop, however you wish to refer them. Obviously, that means that it's difficult for approach shots to stay on. One of the buzzwords that's been used in media commitments surrounding these greens is, whilst they are quite large or comparatively, the same as most courses, the effective green area is a lot less given the slope on these greens. So certainly there will be a need to be precise with approach shots, and certainly if you don't quite get it right, you are going to have to be creative around the greens.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this carnage start tonight. I really am. I think it needs to be this hard.
Yeah, and I assume you saw the post on Insta that was put up by Golf Digest where they literally just dropped the ball and it rolled away well off to the side of the green.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you'll see. I'll just put a picture up. This was remarkable. I've never seen anything like this. Reminds me of Mungery Park back in 1993, mid Sydney drought. It's literally like glass. This guy's just dropped the ball into which looks to be just off to the center of the green, and it's rolled and rolled and rolled. It must be 60, 70 feet. And garnered speed and head off the green. So, wow. And Matt, can you imagine us as 15 to 20 handicappers trying to hit into this?
That's crazy.
I can't imagine it.
And one of the things, not only the contour and the shape of the greens, but one of the other things that's contributed to their speed has been the change in terms of grass use for the greens. Previously, they were bent, but now they've changed to Bermuda grass. So I'm no, agricultural expert, but what I've been advised is that it is currently peak growing season for Bermuda grass. So that allows them to cut it a little closer and not stress the grass. So that allows for a lower and firmer green. And also, given the lower cut and the growth, can also lead to some greater grading as well. So that'll in itself create some additional challenges. Do you buy into all this graining and its effect on putts, or you're not quite there with
look at my level play? No, at my level, I sort of putt to lag. I sort of lag putt. So I'm always looking for 2 putts. So yes, definitely there's an issue putting into the grain, against the grain. And when you're at the level of these guys, and when you watch Bryson and go through his science of it all, it definitely matters to these guys. But to someone like me who's off 15 handicap, I'm sort of just basically looking at into the grain or against the grain, really.
Okay. And then perhaps one of the most iconic aspects of the course itself is the sand wastelands. So prior to 2004, Billy Corr and Ben Crenshaw were tasked with renovating Pinehurst number 2. And what they wanted to do was restore its look and feel back to the 1940s when it was believed to be at its peak. So as part of that process, they removed a hell of a lot of turf and returned the wastelands to what it was back in that period. The course does has reasonably generous fairways.
Yeah, I actually really sorry to cut you off there.
Go for it.
I really like the use of wastelands now and the emergence of this wasteland usage. I think it's going to be, and it must be cost effective for a golf course to have this wasteland now. I think it would be much easier to keep and to maintain. You don't have to worry about weeds so much. You don't have to worry about the trees so much. Like here, I'm subtropical on the Gold Coast, and some of this rough area and tree area gets very messy, and it just gets overrun. Whereas I think if they cut it all back and just use wasteland, it looks better, and I think it might be cost effective. Yeah.
I may not share that cost effective element. I think you've still got to maintain the wasteland in terms of ensuring, particularly that there's not too much of this wiregrass, so that if you do land in there, the only impediment is a sand-based lie. If it does become too overgrown, it becomes very difficult to play out of it. So I don't necessarily know that it's going to be more cost effective, but I'm certainly.
I'd be interested to know if it would be.
Yeah, but I'm certainly interested to see how the field competes, and certainly there's going to be some great highlights of horrible lies behind wiregrass and people just hacking and hoping and maybe even having to hit sideways or backwards to be able to
get a decent approach onto a green. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
So overall, the course is around 7,600 yards, which is kind of on par with most courses that the field are encountering when it comes to majors. There are a couple of par fours which are around 500 yards, which is as us hackers is quite remarkable. But again, just it's one of those things with the wastelands. Whilst the fairways are generous, it is still critical to have accuracy off the tee. In 2014, when players missed the fairway, they only hit green in regulation 38% of the time. So clearly it's one of those things that you certainly don't want to stray off the fairway. Otherwise, it will come back to bite. So they were kind of the points I wanted to touch on the course. Was there anything else there that, your impressions of what you've seen so far?
I think based on my TrackMan round at Pinehurst.
Oh, did you have a crack at it? Did you have a crack?
I did.
Sweet.
I did.
Sweet.
Enjoyed it. It's very long from a hacker like me. Very hard to hit the fairways. It was pretty narrow, I thought. And I mentioned too. I think I said there's a lot of sand. You're going to be in the sand a lot. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very hard, literally, but very difficult. And the greens, I really hope they are just carnage. I want to see how these guys react to it.
Cool.
But yeah, great wrap up, man.
Cool. All right. Do we want to just touch on a couple of the key players and
let's do it.
Get your thoughts.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Let's start at the top of the tree with Scotty Scheffler. As touched on before, 5 wins prior to the US Open is the first time since Tom Watson in 1980. He's currently, in the top 10 in terms of fairway accuracy and in terms of top 15 with regard to strokes gained around the green. So that creativity, if needed, if the ball does roll off the top of the green upon approach. Is there any reason why he shouldn't be the number one favourite for the tournament?
No, he's definitely number one favourite. If he can keep his fairway accuracy as he is, he's long and accurate. I think, like from what I've played, I felt like that's what you need. You need to be accurate and long, and then if he can stick on the green, I think he's number one. Yeah.
Okay.
Good pick.
Moving on to Xander Schauffele, coming off the win at the PGA Championship. Obviously, he's in some good form. He certainly has a great record at the US Open. He's had 7 starts and had 7 top 15 finishes. So there's must like it tough in terms of, lifts his game when needed, given the history of how harsh US Open course setup has been. Certainly got a good all-round game in the top 30 with fairway accuracy, top 35 with strokes gained around the green, and top 16 with strokes gained putting. Do you think he has a chance to go back-to-back?
No, I don't. Okay. I think he's got a very, very consistent game. I feel like that peak that he climbed last major may have, I feel like he's probably been trying to climb that peak for years. He's done it. It might take him another 6 to 12 months to come back to that sort of level again.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then finally, who I think is certainly my favourite to win is Colin Morikawa. He's coming off second place at Memorial. He didn't win the tournament.
Yeah, you like him.
He didn't win the tournament, but was paired with Scotty in the final round. He actually shot a lower score than him in the final round. So perhaps there's some reps there in terms of if he is paired with Scotty on the final day, he knows he can post a lower score. He's currently number 1 in fairway accuracy on the PGA and in the top 10 in strokes gained around the green. I think that's a deadly package, and he's my vote or my pick to win the US Open. Your thoughts on Colin's chances?
I think you just nailed it. It's the fairway accuracy and the strokes gained around the green, which I think is going to make him, top 5. Great choice.
Cool. And and finally, just touching on the Aussies, 6 in the field. We've got Minwoo Lee, Cameron Smith, Adam Scott, Jason Day, and 2 qualifiers, Cam Davis and Jason Scrivener. Anything you want to add on those? Any you think
Minwoo.
Minwoo?
Yep. I think Minwoo's got it. This is his championship, this one. I'm going to put it out there. I feel like it's his time. I'm feeling it. It's in my bones. He's paying $200 to win right now, I would suggest.
Okay.
Maybe $10 on him. I feel like Minwoo Lee's going to be the best of the Australians. I should point that out. Cam Smith, I don't know. He's a bit on and off. And
he was certainly off last weekend, but he's got that creativity and that touch around the greens. I think for me, I think he's the one who can pull something out. And he's a lot of sand there.
Yeah. So
and certainly glad to see Adam Scott's major streak continues. So hopefully makes the cut. And that
absolutely.
But that's all I want to talk about, mate.
Yeah, great little preview. I think Cam Smith, he's seen more balls in the sand than David Hasselhoff.
You're listening to the ECG Hackers Podcast.
With Zuuc and Ashman. Every episode available on Spotify and YouTube.
ECG. Where everybody can go.
Ah, that's brilliant, Belvedere. Thank you so much. You're watching or listening to the ECG Hackers Podcast with Zuuc and the Ashman, coming to you from the eastern seaboard of Australia. Funny enough, Chris, we've got most of our viewers are not from Australia. We need to get more Aussies watching the show.
It's an international sport, golf, and particularly at the moment, we're talking about events which transpire outside of our borders anyway. It's off season for the local scene, so that doesn't surprise me. But
hey, a couple of things I saw that I wanted to mention too. I just cut you off so rudely. Sorry about that. Totally lost my train of thought now. Jeez, with my apology. My bad.
That's all right. Next segment. Anyway, let's move on.
Next segment. We're going to do, should we do Who's in Your Four Ball or Ripped or Yipped? I've got Who's in Your Four Ball down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hey there, everyone. It's Belvedere here again. It's time for this week's Who's in Your Four Ball? Back to you, Ashman.
Oh, sorry about that. I went blank there for a second, mate. Who's in your 4-ball? This year, we thought we'd go back to 1996. Great vintage, great year. You finished school in 96, didn't you, Chris?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, that was the year we went and saw Pearl Jam at Eastern Creek in front of 80-odd thousand, I think. You were playing basketball at the time.
Yeah, the Pearl Jam concert, I think that crowd number keeps growing every time.
Yeah, it does. I think it's probably only 15 grand. So who's in your four
last
ball?
concert at Eastern Creek. Last concert at Eastern Creek. They haven't had one since.
I think it was. I did see Guns N' Roses there too. Funny enough, a couple of years
that
earlier.
was over 100,000. That was epic. That was huge.
Maybe that's where I'm getting messed up with. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So who's in your four ball? 1996 theme. So we pick 3 players to play with yourself based on the theme each week. This week is 1996. We always start with you, Zuuc. Let's start with you, brother. What do you got? 1996.
Okay. So 1996, that was an Olympic year. It was the Atlanta Olympics. It was a heartbreaking tournament for the Australian basketball team with a narrow loss in the bronze medal game to Lithuania. The member in my team was our leading scorer with 23.8 points per game. He's an absolute national legend. And that gentleman is Andrew Gaze. I'd love to have him in my team. I'd love to just spend time with the guy, have a beer and talk sport. He's just an absolute legend and a surprising athlete. He'd be, 6'7". I'm sure he could swing a club and belt a long ball. So I'd love to have him in my
What
in
a
my
great
team.
bloke. What a great
Absolutely.
Aussie, Andrew Gaze.
Great Aussie.
Yeah, absolutely. Great choice.
Moving on. And then Space Jam was the 15th top grossing film in 1996, according to Box Office Mojo.
Yep.
He had a small role in the movie alongside Michael Jordan.
I like how you've gone left field here. I like this.
And now that the NBA Finals are on ESPN, his TNT NBA media commitments are complete. And he should have plenty of time to hit the golf course, and it's certainly something he likes to do. So the second member of my team is Charles Barkley, another golfer, great character, and certainly someone, again, I'd love to talk sports with.
Yeah.
And then finally...
Actually, funny enough, Barkley and Gaze, didn't they go up against each other at 1996 Olympics?
They would have, but the incident he's
Championships?
talking about was Shane Heal and Charles Barkley.
Yes. The Hammer, one of my personal favorite Aussie sportsmen. Yeah, got up in Charles Barkley's face, didn't he? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
And then finally, just trying to have a female on the squad. She was born in 1996. She's a multiple-time winner on the LPGA and the Ladies European Tour. And she became a social media sensation a couple of weeks ago for enjoying a cigarette on the course. So I'll have Charlie Hull in my four ball. So that's my squad. I've got Andrew Gaze, Charles Barkley, and Charlie Hull. So over to you,
brilliant.
Ash.
Thanks, brother. That's great. We had a bit of a conversation about Charlie Hull today, smoking on the course. Okay, here's my 1996. Take your mind back to 1996 if you can. I love music. We all love music, but 96 was a good year for music. One of the great albums of the late 90s, underestimated. And please, when I mention this, I'd recommend going out and listening to it tonight. Some of the great songs on here. So joining me in my four ball is British Muso. Had an album in the Billboard Top 20s. I think it was 20 in 1996. The album's Razorblade Suitcase by Bush, Gavin Rossdale. Gavin Rossdale. Now, if you're listening, please have a listen on Spotify tonight. Bush, Razorblade Suitcase.
So you didn't buy into the whole Bush, we're trying to, rip off Pearl Jam and all that kind of,
It was just the time, man. It was the time we had Nirvana. We had no. It was just the time.
Able to appreciate them in their own right.
Yeah, man. Plus they were British, so it was a totally different feel, Yeah. Then I've gone with someone who came up in our WhatsApp chat last week. This film grossed, I think it was the 30 or 40th, in that sort of 30 to 40s top grossing film of the year. The Cable Guy. So I'm going to have Kerry. He's 96 to a T. So, but I want the Cable Guy. I want the Cable Guy, Jim Carrey, in the squad. So I've got Gavin Rossdale from Bush, Jim Carrey. Now, there's a movie out there. Once again, if you're going to listen to Bush, check this movie out. One of my favorite movies. It starred Marlon Wayans. So I'm going to have Marlon Wayans in my 4-ball.
Okay.
As Lock Dog. Now, the movie I want you to watch it's hilarious. It's so weird, but it's called Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood. Produced and directed by Sean Wayans, Marlon Wayans. Really fun movie.
It's a Wayans joint. The brothers involved. Yep.
It was it grossed $92 million at the box office. Yeah, pretty decent. And then I've got a caddy. My caddy for 1996 was the highest grossing sportsman of the year for 1996. He earned $75 million above Michael Jordan, who I think did $56 million. My caddy, who's carrying my bags, is Mike Tyson.
Ooh.
So I've got Gavin Rossdale, Jim Carrey, Marlon Wayans, and caddy Mike Tyson.
Was that his comeback year? Is that when he was fighting?
Yeah, it must have been.
Peter McNeely and all those kind of ring-ins.
I think it could have been. I think it could have been the year he chewed Holyfield's ear off.
Okay,
potentially.
no, potentially, yeah. No, it would have been if he's making that kind of coin. Yeah, it would have been.
I think Holyfield was in the top 20 anyway. He did 50 odd mil. So yeah, it must have been that year. That's awesome. So we've had some people from the ECG crew write in with their who's in your 4-ball for 1996. I'll do Club Locks wrote in.
Cool.
He's a Muso fan as well, as we know. He's gone with Noel Gallagher from Oasis. What a year too. That was definitely.
They're at the peak of their powers. No doubt about it. Oasis, yes, at their peak.
So Noel Gallagher. And then Keith Flint from The Prodigy. He scared me, that guy. He's the guy with the actually got a picture of him here if you're watching on Spotify, YouTube. That's Keith Flint. And then he's gone pre-slap Will Smith. So that would have been Bad Boys 1, I guess, or no.
Maybe Independence Day at that point.
Independence Day. Yeah, Independence Day. Tim from Discount Golf Balls has mentioned Jenna Jameson. But you left it at that.
You could have the whole Vivid Girls squad. That was peak Vivid Girls era. That
yeah. All right, and you spoke to Rand earlier, I believe.
Yeah, no, Rand sent across his 4-ball. So he's included Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you recall back then, Austin 316 certainly was a thing. It was you're either wearing an Austin 316 t-shirt or an NWO t-shirt. So take your pick there. He also had Genuine, if you can recall the pony song. That was all over the airwaves.
I remember testing my Daewoo new speaker system to Genuine. Carbon. Yeah, the Carbon, the Daewoo 1.5. I got this wicked stereo in it, which was worth more than the car itself. And I remember testing it out in that Ride It Pony song. Is that it?
Geez.
Pony?
Yep, that's it. And then he also mentioned Mark Maguire, and that was one that really took me back because that's what really probably got me into baseball in any real meaningful way was that home run season scoring record chase between him and Sosa. I remember just in the peak chase, we're talking, August and September, staying up late, watching Sports Tonight, seeing Billy Woods read out the highlights to see who's taken the lead in the race, and just brought back memories with regards to that. So so that's Rand's 4-ball.
Oh, love it. That was who's in your 4-ball. We do that each week. And thanks for writing in, guys, and being a part of that. Here's a message. We'll be back after the message with Ripped or Yipped.
Golf 49. Quality golfwear, $49. From mild to wild, our entire range of shirts, shorts, and accessories are $49 each, including free shipping Australia-wide. golf49.com.au.
I started a bit of a TV career back in 97, funny enough, in Australia, and I started getting on TV in Australia in the when I worked for the shopping network. And I remember one of my first TVSN. I remember the first ever what do you call it? frozen moments was when I learned a great lesson. You've always got to remember what you're about to say. And I'm still thrown by 5 minutes ago. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, I remember freezing. They coming back from a break, coming to me in 3, 2, 1. I went, oh, what am I talking about? Anyway, so Rick,
can I just stop you before you dive in?
Yes, mate. Yes, mate.
I think you may have had a frozen moment and perhaps forgot. We also got another ripped or yip from Locke who threw one in as well. So,
we did. We did. All right, let's rewind. Who we got? Locke Woods.
In his 4-ball, he had Paul Keeney, who was responsible for the recession that we had to have in that era. So. My memories of Paul Keating were probably more with his Armani suits and always looking stylish.
That's right.
He also had Mick Doohan, who won his third out of 5 MotoGP championships that year. So another great Aussie. And those who do follow their motorsport, his prodigy, his son Jack's probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, about to get a seat next year in the pinnacle of the sport. So it'd be great to see another Doohan at the top of the motorsport tree competing in Formula One. And then also Atlanta Olympics related, he had Richard Jewell, who was the security guard who was initially incorrectly accused for the Atlanta bombing, and then was actually found out to be someone who actually helped save lives. So that was Locke. Sorry to cut you off, but I thought,
mate, thank you for reminding me. And I appreciate Locke writing in. Mick Doohan 5 championships in a row. That's the second time he showed up on this show. Mick Doohan, Locke and I used to sit up and watch the MotoGPs as well back then. Locke used to ride the loudest motorcycle of all time. He'd hang around my place, would play Mega Drive till 2 or 3 in the morning. Madden, John Madden, football stuff like that. Brian Lara's cricket. That was a cracker. Brian Lara's cricket. And then he'd leave my place at 3 in the morning. I literally hear him drive all the way home on his motorbike. So they were the days. Time for Ripped or Yip, Belvedere.
Hey, fellas. Belvedere here again. It's time to go around the table with Ripped or Yipped. Let's see what side of the argument the boys are on. Ripped or Yipped. Back to you, Ash.
All right. So Ripped or Yipped. We have a statement, a question, a sentence, and if you like it and agree, you rip it. If you disagree, you yip it. Okay. First of all, first statement, half bag of clubs, ripped or yipped? Playing with a half bag of clubs.
I'm ripped. Most of the time I play with half a bag. It probably costs me strokes, but something about just the sack bag that I use, put in half a dozen clubs and, simple, easy, quick, particularly in summer. I enjoy it. I'm ripped. You are?
Awesome. I'll go yipped. I've never done it. I actually love lugging my bag around. But I'll go yipped. But today at the tournament, there was a chance to win a half bag, a Sunday bag.
Okay,
and
cool.
I'm trying my best, bro. I wanted to get it to you. I even said it to Tim, I've got to get this for Zuuc. It looked fantastic, really cool looking Malbon sort of thing.
Cool.
I can definitely see the value in it. I'd probably rock a 7-iron, 7-iron driver, putter, and maybe a 52 wedge. Is that would you have
bare minimum? I'd probably have something in between. Normally I rock about six clubs.
Hybrid,
so driver, 5, 7, pitch, and a couple of wedges normally. So
I play single length. I play single length clubs. So if I just take a 7, I can adjust the loft a bit. And they'll anyway.
Oh, look at you talking dynamic loft adjustments. Love it.
Okay. Teeing up on a par 3 with a wedge, ripped or yipped?
Ripped. I'm always teeing up. I feel, it's the only opportunity you get on a hole to get a perfect lie. I know it's not the most common thing to do, but it allows me mentally to know that I've got a better chance to get under the ball, get some spin on the ball. Ripped. I'm always teeing up on a short par 3 with a wedge. Yep.
I'm ripped as well. I'm always going to find a wooden tee Or I even like the little tees you find in the ground that are broken. I'll pick a broken one up, put it down, just to get yourself just a bit off the ground, just so I know that it's going to get over the bottom 2 grooves in the club.
Yep.
So
no, totally.
I'm ripped. Using tees as ball markers on the green, ripped or yipped?
I'm ripped in an emergency. I've certainly done it many a time. I don't think it's necessarily the best thing to do, but yeah, works in a pinch. So why not? Ripped.
Okay, I'm going to go yips. You know, if you watched,
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were
going to say that. I've got a case over there full of ball markers. And today, actually, my playing partner, Tim, had the best ball marker. And I promise you, every time he put Chubb's hand down, I was hitting putts. You know, the guy from Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
He had the, it was like a hand missing a couple of fingers, and it was a ball marker.
Yeah.
So,
the hand that the alligator got is a replacement.
That's right. So every time he chubbed me up, I sunk one. It was really good. So there was a bit of a joke going, chub up. Okay, domed greens, ripped or yipped? The domed greens, ripped or yipped?
This is where I've got to give 2 answers. Ripped for professionals, but for us hackers, it's yipped. You know, it's challenging enough for me to, given where I am and with my game. Just having that dome and that lower effective green area to target. That's yipped from a personal perspective. But honestly, can't wait to look at it tonight. Can't wait to look at it tonight.
Well, I think my butt's going to have some splinters in it because I'm sitting on the fence on this one. I'm going to have ripped for a sports fan tonight watching the US Open. I'm going to really love. I want to see someone get destroyed. But for me, I couldn't think of anything worse. Yipped for a hacker's perspective. All right, petrol golf carts, ripped or yipped? The noisy ones that goes.
The 2 stroke. Yeah, no. I've used them. It always seems to be, they're yipped. There's just something. It's a lot easier with an electric cart. There's nothing wrong with them. They're still functional. But yeah, I prefer an electric one if I'm being honest. So
okay. I think if I was going to buy one, I'll probably buy a petrol one.
Okay.
The sound of the it pisses everyone off. You can still see the odd tournament where they're using them. You can see in the background. I'll go ripped. A bit more old school. What else have I got here? Oh, I got 2 more. They're both quite random, but I was driving to the golf course this morning and something really pissed me off. I was driving behind. It must have been a 50cc scooter. Petrol scooter that was going so slow, it barely got over 40k an hour, and the speed limit was 60, 70, and I was stuck behind this petrol scooter. So petrol scooters, 50cc, ripped or yipped?
That is random. Look, I certainly wouldn't want to be the one that's riding it. It's 50cc, there's not a lot of talk, not a lot of get up and go.
Yeah,
but surely,
surely, because you see these kids riding around here on the electric scooters you buy from Walmart, or whatever, and they're going quicker than the 50cc scooter. Yeah, 100% yipped on the petrol scooters, 50cc. Get off it. Lastly, probably the last thing of the show, the Aussie Boomers basketball uniform. What a disgrace! Have you seen this thing? It is yipped 100%. ASICS have come out and created the Australian Boomers basketball team's uniform. Mate, this thing is so short. The umpires and the refs are never going to give you a uniform warning because you can't even tuck them in. I think this is really yipped. And I know a lot of the boys that we talk to are just up in arms about it. What do you think? Ripped or yipped?
It is yipped. It's one of those things that obviously ASICS have paid a lot of money to be the provider of uniform, or not so much the uniform, but it is the sporting uniforms. Others provide the how can I say,
Legit.
provide the ceremonial uniform that they wear at the opening and closing. But anyway, ASIC's obviously well known for their athletics apparel and equipment. That obviously in this instance hasn't transferred to basketball. It literally looks like, and certainly from what I've seen, appears to be just a running singlet that has been transferred and had
just because it's a singlet,
just transposed and used for basketball. It's a pretty poor effort from ASICS. I love ASICS as a runner. I run in their shoes. I run in their gear. Great company. Produce some great products, but they've certainly let themselves down here. Poor.
They have the Aussie Boomers basketball uniform. Now, I think this is a sports merchandise equivalent of Mal Meninga's political career. It's ugly, it's short, and it has no place.
You're listening to the ECG Hackers Podcast.
With Zuuc and Ashman. Every episode available on Spotify and YouTube.
ECG, where everybody can go.
Thank you, sports fans. That's the end of episode 19. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can hear us on Spotify each week. It's always fun bringing this to you each week on a Thursday. Yeah, and it's always nice to hang out with you, Zuuc.
No, appreciated the chat, and certainly looking forward to the group chat over the coming 4 days as we both, not only us, but the rest of the ECG crew enjoy the US Open.
Yeah. Before we go, I've got Bryson DeChambeau, Ludwig Oberg, Minwoo Lee, Cam Smith, Bryson Kopka, and Jason Scrivener in my fantasy draft team. So that's who I'll be watching. Until next week, same time next week, keep them in the hole. Keep them going for the hole. Till then.
This is the ECG Golf Club. And welcome to this week's Hackers Podcast.